A Madison woman tragically died while snorkeling off the Florida coast. She died in Key West. The sheriff's office for the Florida Keys identified her as 63-year-old Leisha Spriggs. She was snorkeling with a commercial company and she was found unresponsive in the water yesterday afternoon. First responders began CPR immediately. The U.S. Coast Guard brought her ashore. She died at a hospital. Investigators do not suspect foul play. Autopsy results will determine just how Spriggs died.